Hello and welcome. This is Miranda, my husband Luther, and we are coming with lesson 3 for relationship challenges today.
Yep. So in the last 2 lessons we covered just some different aspects of relationships and how you can transition and move from where you're at in your current relationship levels to just progressing on and making those relationships better and just raising the quality.
Yeah, more intimate relationships, more depth. As a culture, we've definitely gotten to more of a surface relationship, and our goal is to help you bring more depth to really find that place of intimacy within parents to children, children to parents, spouses, husband and wife, to your co-workers, to people around you, family.
Yeah. So in this lesson, we're going to talk about 3 main challenges. There's lots of challenges that you'll face as you have a relationship, whether that's a romantic relationship or a marital relationship or just family, etc., whatever. You're going to face challenges, but there's three big ones I think that we want to talk about.
Yeah. This is a kind of a broader subject that you could get into a lot of different challenges and take things more in depth. But our goal is to give you kind of a surface area to help give you some basic stepping stones to help you get to where you want to go. Just to get you moving forward, and that's what the idea of this 30-day challenge is to give you the tools to see that progress within a matter of just very close in a few days, to see some growth and changes in your relationships.
Yeah, so let's dive right in. Relationship challenge number 1 is separate visions. And what do I mean by vision? We all have this ideal picture of what our life is supposed to look like, of the things we want out of life, the direction we would like our life to go, these kinds of things. So these creates a vision or a pathway, rather, for your life. Now, that's great if you've got that established, but it can be a point of conflict when I have a different vision and she has a different vision, and yet we're married and we should have a common vision. Otherwise we're separating, right? Instead of coming together. So separate visions is you have no common focus. Now you can be, 2 people are different individuals. Nobody is exactly the same. And this goes beyond just a marriage relationship too. Your friends, your family, you got this group of different individuals with different visions for their life. But at some point, you have to have some commonality. If you're gonna go through life with a certain individual, with these people, you have to have some point of common reference. Okay.
Yeah.
So, like your friends, you might have a common activity. That's the common point of reference, right? So you come together during those times, or common interest. Marriage is really one of those higher level types of relationships where you really have to have a common vision. You don't have to be identical people, but you have to have a common vision, because if you don't, you're both going to separate like this over time.
Yeah. So if you think about your career or your job, like where you work, that's a common vision. So you go to work with your coworkers, you're going to a common goal together. You're kind of united in a sense where you're heading together. You want to adapt that same mindset within the home, within a marriage, within other relationships, friendships outside of work. A lot of times when you build a relationship, you find common ground or something you have in common with somebody, and that's really where you want to start. Is when you're taking depth to relationships, you want to figure out, what do we have in common together? What do we both enjoy to do? What are we both passionate about? Maybe it's the Bible, maybe it's the Word of God, maybe it's your faith, maybe it's music, maybe it's being outside together, maybe it's crafting together, it's building. I know some people are big into woodworking, and so they will woodwork together, and it's just a way that they can build their relationship. So finding a common vision, common goals, common interests.
So when you don't have a common vision, there's a number of things that can happen. You can have unfulfilled desires, unmet expectations, which can lead to you feeling like, my rights have been violated. I'm expecting you to do certain things because this is how I see my life going. So I might have preconceived ideas about the relationship, expectations.
That are unmet expectations that, if you don't share, how is somebody supposed to meet those expectations? I can't read his mind and he can't read mine.
Yeah, but sometimes if you don't have that common vision, those expectations can be unrealistic too. So we want to watch out for that. But all these things can lead to hurt, right? And so now now there's aspects of the relationship where I am being hurt because maybe I haven't communicated my expectations. Maybe my expectations aren't even realistic, right? Maybe I expect you to be superwoman and I can just sit back with my feet up all the time and you do all the work and I do nothing, and that's my expectation. Probably not realistic and probably going to cause some issues, but if you don't talk about these things, then
true.
there's going to be some conflict.
Yeah,
You don't
that's
want
really
conflict.
true. It's really true.
So,
Yep, good point.
and just really quickly, with a common vision, everybody starts here in a relationship. They start together because there's some common something that even started the relationship, right? Whatever it is. But if you don't have a common goal or a commonality, over time, those differences get magnified and magnified and magnified. And next thing you know, especially like in a marriage, you're 5 years in, she's way over here, you're way over here. You guys can't even connect because you're just living life differently. And you wonder, why are we just roommates? Why are we, why is nothing working out? Why are we always arguing? All this kind of stuff. You don't have that common vision that you're pursuing together.
So if you're not married and you're watching this, that's some things to think about before you get married, is to find somebody with some commonalities, find some common ground, building a relationship that way. If you're not married, if you are, there's still hope. You can restore all of this. We've had to navigate different commonalities within our relationship. When we left the main structure of the church system, that was a commonality we had in our relationship that was no more there.
Yeah.
So we had to discover commonality together again to restore and keep building the relationship. A lot of times what happens is when you have kids, your commonality in a marriage can become your children, and when the children are gone and out of the house, then you divorce and separate.
Yeah.
Okay, so finding a common ground. I mean, this could even be, just an area. I know some people, some of my friends and coworkers and different things are into health and wellness, and that's a common thing. And you'll see amazing couples where husband and wives pursue this together, which I think is fabulous because it's something they have in common. It's a passion, and they're growing in it together. But finding that common ground, that vision that you can adapt together. Now, you can take this mindset with your marriage. You can take the mindset with your friends. You can take the mindset with your parents. With sisters, siblings, you can take this mindset and help to discover what is a common ground. And that's going to start by you asking them some questions. What are you interested in? What do you enjoy to do? What do you like to do? Get to know them. If you don't know what they're interested in, you're never going to find a common ground. Never. Yeah. So it's going to start by asking questions. What do you enjoy to do? Look for so-and-so is always talking about this. It drove me nuts when he was talking about that all the time, but you know what? Maybe that's his interest, and so you need to step into that with him to learn more about that. So if somebody talks about something all the time, like maybe they follow a lot with politics and they're into some of that stuff. Maybe there's a hidden desire to one day be within Congress, to be, so pull that gift out of people, ask questions. You'll be surprised what vision and dreams are lying dormant in people.
Yeah. So, separate visions. Number two, emotional walls. I've got experience with this.
Number two, if you didn't catch it.
Number two.
Emotional walls. All right, I want to hear about this one.
Yeah, you probably do. So, emotional walls are what I like to call secret vows. Secret vows. So, a secret vow is there's been an offense in the relationship, and and just in your mind, you say, "You're never going to do that to me again. I am never going to allow you to do that to me again." And you make this secret vow that certain things are going to happen, certain things aren't going to happen, right? But what happens with secret vows is things that are hidden and in secret, the enemy has access to.
That's good.
Okay?
That's good.
Now, I'm not communicating, "Hey, you've hurt me. You really hurt my feelings. I'm struggling with this issue. Can we talk about and resolve this?" No, you're never doing that to me again, and I'm not going to tell you anything about it, and she doesn't know. You don't know.
No. But over time, what you begin to feel is there's just things that you can feel. Sometimes you can just feel a wall between people, and you're not connecting. So over time, it builds, like he said, the secret, it's like an emotional wall that gets built over time.
Yep.
So he's created the secret vow that he's not going to let something hurt him again. And this emotional wall begins to come in. And so here you are, this could be a husband and wife, this could be a parent, this could be a daughter, son. where you're trying to connect like this, but a wall has been built there.
Yeah.
That's what we're kind of referencing.
Yeah, yeah. So what happens is these secret vows, they build walls, just like
Yep.
Mandy said. And what happens? Walls lead to hostility, right? And hostility leads to dishonor. And that's the manifestation part. When we have all these walls built up,
That's good.
whether we're conscious of it or not, when we've got a wall here, now we're adversaries. We're hostile. And these things start to manifest. Criticism and complaining about everything. No physical affection. Trying to change others. Like, I've got to fix you because clearly you're broken. So we'll just fix you. So you're always nagging and all this kind of stuff.
And no physical affection, you can take that even into the area of intimacy within a marriage, where no longer is there could be the act of sex, but it's not true intimacy. It's just,
Yeah,
you know
it's
what?
more mechanical.
It's more mechanical, and because you just don't want to deal. You don't want to go to this intimate level with somebody because you've put a wall there. We've talked about communications, their surface level. We want you to be down here where it's more of an intimate level, okay? And to get there, you have to be willing to tear down the walls in you. And you might say, well, my husband has these walls, or so-and-so has these walls, so-and-so's got these walls. What I want you to do is I want you to come from a perspective and saying, what can I do to create a safe place for them to trust me?
Yeah.
What have I said that might hurt them? Because obviously if they've built a wall, they're hurt. They're hurt. And they just need a place to express that hurt, and they need time to process it too. It's not going to happen overnight. So asking yourself, what can I do to help somebody, okay, is going to be the key of helping get these walls torn down.
Yeah. Some other, manifestations of dishonor, neglect, outbursts of anger, just, this irrational anger all the time. It's because there's that underlying hostility. Being judgmental or accusatory all the time, giving them the silent treatment. That was me. I did that. Like, I'm going to punish you because you hurt me by not talking to you.
I love his honesty. He's totally writing it out. And so I'm not stopping him. He's owning that.
But and all these things can start to foster some unforgiveness, which will lead to bitterness, and the next thing you know, you're filing for divorce.
And we can actually trace this back. I do a lot with health and wellness. Unforgiveness and bitterness is actually rooted with cancer.
Yeah.
Disease and things like that can actually be rooted from this place. They've actually proven this, that science has researched it all the way back to unforgiveness and pain. And this could be unforgiveness from your past, things you just haven't worked through. And it can lead to health issues.
Yeah, yeah. So these walls, if you want somebody else to tear down their walls, a lot of times you have to go first.
That's good.
You have to set the example. You have to be willing to say, you know what, I'm taking my walls down. I'm going to allow myself to be vulnerable.
That's good.
And accept the risks that I could get hurt again.
And they're just going to tell you, you will. You will. It's a part of life. You're going to get hurt.
Yeah.
It's really where you got to have emotional maturity, and you have to just pull up your big girl, big boy panties and just accept it. You're going to get hurt. That's just a part of life, but that's where we grow. That's where we change. That's where we become people that learn to love each other and accept each other. Just don't put that wall there, because that's where you're only hurting yourself. You're only hurting yourself.
It's going to destroy intimacy on no matter what kind of relationship you want to have.
You're going to hurt your kids. Generational impacts by putting those walls up.
Yeah. Walls got to come down.
Yeah.
So number 3, should go look 1, 2, 3.
Number 3
is conflict. So conflict, and this is what everybody I don't want to have conflict in my relationships. But here's the thing, guys. Conflict is normal.
Yeah, that leads right into what we were just talking about.
Conflict is normal.
Conflict is healthy. It's good. It's good.
If you didn't have conflict with another person, that means you're probably both robots.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, conflict's normal. Conflict is healthy. It's how you learn. It's how you connect the dots in your head and ask questions. And he doesn't see eye to eye as me, and I don't see eye to eye as him, but we can bounce off each other. We can learn. It's like a whole world when you're willing to look at it from a new perspective.
Yeah. So in a relationship, whatever type of relationship it is, the goal is not to be conflict free, but it's to process and handle conflict in a healthy manner. because you got different people. Whether it's your spouse, whether it's your best friend, whether it's your parents, whatever, different people. You put two different people together long enough, something's going to happen where they're going to do this at some
point. I like
point.
what you said. Yeah, the goal is not to be conflict-free, but learn how to handle it in a healthy manner.
Yeah.
Conflict's good. We tend to want to run from problems and like we don't want to deal with problems, but that stuff is just going to arise. It's life. You're living in a fairy tale if you don't want to deal with that. You got to take off those fairy tale glasses. It's not reality.
Yeah. You know, the beauty of conflict, though, is it'll help us to have deeper relationships.
Yeah.
There was a saying, a thing I used to say is that you really don't know somebody until you fought them. You really don't. I mean, if everybody's just all head communication, all smiles and grins and how's it going, how's the weather, and there's no intimacy, if you have to get to that place where there's that exposure. And a lot of times when you're arguing with somebody, when you're having conflict with somebody, you're seeing the real parts of them.
Yeah.
Right? The real parts are getting exposed. Which
is good that they're exposing that. Yeah. Don't take offense to that. Yeah. When you take offense, you're picking up bitterness, you're picking up unforgiveness. Again, it's up to you to pick that crap up. You don't have to. Let them share their thoughts. Let them share their opinions. Let them share their experiences in life. It's who they are. It's the way they're designed. It's a beautiful thing. Don't pick up their pain and make it yours.
Yeah. If you can learn to handle conflict in a healthy way,
you'll go far.
What you'll see is that you'll get to see a deeper part of the person that you're initially having some conflict with.
Yeah.
You will understand them better, and if you can process it all in a healthy manner, you will have deepened that relationship.
You'll build stronger
strengthened
relationships.
It.
Yeah, you build stronger relationships. And when we're running away from conflict, what we're doing is we're really hindering the opportunity to take a relationship to the next level. You're missing an opportunity to take it deeper.
Yes. Yeah. So, how do we handle conflict in a healthy manner?
Good question.
Mm-hmm. So, couple points, and they've got a list basically that we'll run through. So, one, like we talked about in the first lesson, you want to be committed to the relationship. Okay. Now we're talking about healthy relationships, not abusive things like that.
Yeah, we're not talking about abuse. There's always exceptions to the rule.
Yeah. But in a healthy relationship, you want to stay committed to that relationship. Keep that relationship a priority. Why? Because you are made for connection.
Yeah.
You're not made to be isolated and alone.
Yeah, so if you're say you're just watching this and you're living with somebody, you haven't quite been married or anything, that's where I would encourage you to take that next step and have commitment. Commitment just takes that relationship to the next level.
It does.
It takes it to a deeper level of intimacy where you say, I'm in this fight with you, we're going to do it together. Yeah. And that's why marriage, I love the gift of marriage. And the world and too many people walk away because it gets hard and they don't know how. We just haven't been taught. We've not been taught these skills.
Yeah. And part of that commitment, keep in mind that offenses, they're temporary emotions. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. As long as you process them and don't hold on to them and become bitter and unforgiving, the emotion of the offense passes. And you can move forward with the relationship. But you have to be committed to that relationship. Second point, celebrate your differences. No two people are the same. She doesn't think the way I think. She's a different gender. She has completely different paradigm than what I do. But yet, we have to make the relationship work if we want, if we want to go through life together.
Sure.
So we have to celebrate our differences. Because somebody is different from you, does not make them lesser than. It does not make them wrong. It does not make them weird or strange. They're just different.
That's normal, and it's good they're different. You don't want two of you. Yeah. I don't want two of me.
You would not want to. You would not want to be married to yourself. It would.
No.
It would not work. Believe it or not, you would think it'd be great. It would not work.
No,
and
you would be dissatisfied.
Yeah,
you would get bored. You wouldn't be like. The differences is what makes it fun. It's what makes it unique, and yeah.
Yeah. It's you think about, especially in romantic relationships, that opposites attract. Mm-hmm. Subconsciously, we look for our opposite, and then we try to find things that we have in common with our opposite, and that creates the ideal relationship. It's how we're wired.
It's just interesting that God designed man and woman completely opposite, but they come together as one physically, literally.
Yeah.
Because that's how he designed it, is for you to be different, you to have your own identity, be your own person, have your dreams, your goals, your emotions, your ups, your downs, come together and become one.
Yeah. And the third point in handling conflict is loving confrontation. You don't want to run from conflict. Don't run from confrontation. Embrace it. It's a beautiful thing, because when you handle it properly, it brings you to a deeper level of intimacy.
Yeah.
Right? So how do we lovingly confront? Is one, take ownership for your role in the offense. Okay? You really offended me when you did that thing, and my feelings got hurt. I allowed some pain from my past. I allowed some pain from some experiences that hurt me, and I reacted inappropriately, right? Take ownership for your part. Even if the offense was generated from the other party, you still have to take ownership, okay? For your part in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? We don't blame shift. Because of you and what you did, now I'm upset. It's like, no, I have to take ownership for my emotions.
Yep, and sometimes your emotions can be triggered because of things in your past that you haven't worked through. And so there's some times that you have to do some of that inner healing to really tear down, to help accept people for who they are. You have to work through your own emotions, truly accept who you are, which is what we talked about in the last video, to really accept somebody else. That's kind of part of my journey, is accepting him as a man with, the strong personality that he carries. Sometimes my own insecurities, I would want to wall up against them and, shut him down because I didn't want to face that. But a lot of that goes back to the pain that I had as a child when I didn't have my dad around. And it went to my relationship with my dad that I hadn't allowed to heal yet. And I needed to work through that pain. And so when he would rise as a man, I didn't want to experience that. I didn't want anything to do with that. Like, a man, I've been hurt by men. I've been hurt extremely by men. So I had to work through that so I could accept him. So sometimes you got to do a little bit of your own work, a little bit of your own digging to accept somebody else.
Yeah, for sure. Let go of your desire to be right. That's a big thing, because we get into conflict, and especially if we start blame shifting, then it's like, no, it's your fault. No, it's your fault. Well, if you wouldn't have done this, well, if you wouldn't have done that, all this kinds of stuff, you have to let go of your desire to be right. You can state your case, you can state your position, but you don't have to be right.
That's good.
And the thing to remember, if you like, I won the argument, I made my point, I'm right, I got the win on that one, you've really lost, because now you've damaged the relationship, you've caused distance.
Yeah.
You've made it an unsafe place, so nobody can't come together in intimate level.
It's good.
So.
Yep.
Edify and honor. And this is something that, okay, I blew up at you over that thing, and I'm all upset, but then you come back and you say, you know what? I have to take responsibility for my emotions. I really got hurt. That was how I felt because of that situation. But I know that you're really trying to protect me. You're trying to look out for us. And I receive that as maybe being a little controlling because I've got some insecurities or however it plays out.
Right.
But say, I know you're not trying to hurt me. I know that your real motivation is this. Your real motivation is that you care for us. You looking out for us, and things like that.
Yeah.
Think about what is true about the other party, right? What is their? Are they really trying? Did they set out to hurt you, or did they have another motivation, and this is how it played out? But their underlying motivation was maybe more pure than what you initially thought. And then talk about that. Edify them. Honor them. Thank you for protecting me. Yeah, it felt a little controlling, but you know what? That's because I had some insecurities. But I know your desire is to protect us, protect our family, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah, because I like to do things a lot of natural ways and a lot of health and wellness. And sometimes I can come where I'm kind of pushing things down his throat, and you can kind of look at it literally like vitamins and nutrition and smoothies and like, here, take this. And it could seem like I'm being controlling, but really I want him to be healthy. I want him to take care of us. I want him to be here with me. I want to do life with him. Yeah. And because I care about him, I want to take care of him. Whereas sometimes you can resist the other person, be like, what are you doing? I don't want that. But you know what? Come from a perspective that they love you enough to want to help take care of you.
Yeah.
They love you enough to want to help you. And when you begin to accept that, you're like, oh, that's why they're doing this. Because it could be the opposite way, where I could care less about what he's eating. I could care less about what he's doing in his body, because, I just don't care. You could come from that perspective, but you're not.
Yeah. So just be cautious, when sometimes it's easy for us to get offended because we've got all this pre-programming and different experiences that we're all working through and dealing with. Mm-hmm. But look at the motivation of the other party, most people don't wake up and try to hurt the people that they're in a relationship with.
Yeah.
But they have underlying motivations that cause conflict.
That's good.
But you just have to process these things. What is their real motivation?
Yeah.
Okay? So edify and honor. As for forgiveness, this goes back to being responsible for our own actions. You tried to give me those vitamins that taste horrendous, and I resisted, and I fought, and I lost my temper, and I got upset with you. But I understand that you're just trying to care for me. You're just trying to make sure I'm healthy so I can be around for you and the family, and for myself. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate that about you. And so please forgive me for losing my temper because I was not controlling myself. Okay? Ask for forgiveness. You are responsible for your reaction during conflict and offense. Okay?
It's really good. So, and that goes with, like, the beginning we talked about owning your stuff. Own your crap.
Yeah.
When you screw up, like, even as a mom, there's times I have to go to my kids, I'm so sorry. Mom's really tired. I'm losing it. I'm and I have to repent, like, I'm sorry, because I don't want to hurt them.
Yeah.
But I'm tired. I'm exhausted. And so I just have to tell them, look, Mom's really tired. I truly did not mean to offend you. I didn't mean to get angry with you. Mom just needs her space. I need to go to bed. Wake up, tomorrow will be a new day. But you restore that relationship. You restore that so you're not getting a wall between you and your kids. Same thing from fathers to sons. Sometimes fathers can come across hard on their son. They come out very hard. It's because they want to see their son thrive and do well. If you don't communicate that to your son and you leave him feeling like he's not good enough and he's not measuring up, in his eyes he's not going to look good enough to dad, and he just wants to please dad. He wants to make dad happy. More than anything, little boys want to look to their fathers and earn respect through they look up to him. They're a grown man. They want respect as a man. It speaks to their manhood at a very young age. And so if you come off really abrasive to your children or to your sons or your daughters, and you don't communicate to that, you know what? I came across really hard. The truth is that I love you and I want to see you do well. I want to see you successful. And how I said that was really wrong. I didn't mean to hurt you. I didn't mean to shut you down. I think you're an amazing son. And that's going to speak to his manhood. But then it's also going to let your kids see that you're vulnerable and you make mistakes. We're human. We all make mistakes. We all do. And it's really good as parents that we own our crap in front of our kids, because it's going to teach them how to be humble, how to own their crap, how to actually have healthy relationships. They'll go further and farther than you do in life if you teach them that while they're young. Yeah.
That's, just as a father, that paradigm has played huge dividends in my relationships with my children. Dad lost it. Dad said some things that were not very nice, were not very edifying, and I'm sorry. I don't feel that way. I don't think that way about you. These are my motivations. I want to see you do well. I want to see you succeed, and I'm very proud of you. All these kinds of things. That deepens a relationship when you can do that. When you can humble yourself, you just deepen the relationship because you've moved to a place of vulnerability.
Their walls are going to come down because of that.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe not right away, but you're chipping away at another brick. Brick. You're going to chip away at those walls over time.
Yeah.
That's good.
And ask, next point is ask for accountability, right? Hold each other to a higher standard. You say, this is how we reacted. I've asked for forgiveness. I've owned my garbage. But now let's hold each other to a higher standard. Instead of defaulting to the old, let's throw pots and pans at each other, let's complain about everything, let's give each other the silent treatment like we've always done.
Yeah.
Hey, let's not do that
Hug
anymore.
our sides of the bed.
Yeah,
You know, kids are in their rooms on their phones, cut away from mom and dad playing their video games because they just don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, let's I'm going to hold you to a higher standard. Will you hold me to a higher standard?
Yeah.
So we don't default back to
And
negative behavior.
that's great. Going back to the father and the son. So for the father does that to his son, to speak edification over him. I truly believe in you. The truth is I want to be a dad that you can look up to. Will you help me when I start to get to a place where I'm not? And then I want you to be a son that rises up and is a leader in your generation. Can I hold you to a standard and remind you when you're stepping back from that position? And together you create, going back to the vision, a commonality where you're holding each other accountable to pursuing together in life.
Yeah, and the relationship gets deeper.
And you just establish a commonality where you're holding each other accountable to move on in life, not fall back into your old patterns and your old habits that took you opposite of where you want to go.
Yeah. So the last point of handling conflict, loving confrontation, is give space when needed. Sometimes when the arguments get really bad, you need to take a break.
Yeah. That's okay.
When it's just like this big blow up issue, it's like, you know what? Hold on. I need some space. Yeah. This is really volatile. It's really playing on my emotions. I'm reacting not in a positive way to this whole conversation.
Yeah.
I need to take 5. I need a half a day, whatever. And you need to verbalize that. Don't just walk away and be like, whatever. Because that's silent treatment. That creates a wall. That creates separation. So you know what? I need some space. This is really hard for me to deal with right now. I need to process this. Can you give me some space?
Yeah.
And then with that, say, you know what? Can we come back to this tomorrow? Can we talk about this then?
Sometimes it's good to just end it on a good note. You don't have to resolve it, but you can just come to a place where you're like, okay, you know what? Let's just take a break for a minute and we'll come back to this at a later point.
Yeah.
That's normal and that's okay. It's nothing to, get worried about, nothing to freak out about. That's okay.
I would say make sure you define that time point where you're going to come back. Don't leave it open-ended because then you're just avoiding conflict. I need space and it's been a year and 3 months since we've dealt with this issue and it's still lingering. No, you can't do that. I need space. Let's agree to come back to this in a day, a few days, whatever you need, but make sure you keep those appointments.
That's good. That's a good point.
You don't want to leave it open-ended.
It could become a way of trying to run away from conflict. I like how you touched on that.
Yeah.
It could be just, you know what, we're not going to figure it out, and so you run away from it.
Yeah, so if you need to take an argument break, take the break, but establish a time. Okay, we're going to cool down. We're going to process to where we're a little more level-headed and we can approach this a little more objectively without all the emotion, but let's plan for that time period.
Yeah.
Okay? So 3 ways to kind of deal with conflict. Conflict can be a beautiful thing in a relationship because if you handle it correctly, it will draw you closer and stronger together. Whether that's with your spouse, with your family, with your children, parents, co-workers, whatever the case is, conflict can be a wonderful thing. So don't run from it. Process it appropriately, and it will create stronger relationships. So separate visions, you got to have commonality. Tear down the emotional walls, because it just leads to dishonor, and that leads to separation. And then conflict. Handle that conflict appropriately so you can have these healthy, wonderful relationships.
Yeah. That's really good. You guys, I want to just give you a pat on the back. You guys are at video 3. You have plugged in through the series, so if you've listened this far, well done. It shows that you're hungry to learn and you're hungry to grow. And I truly believe that God's going to reward you for the time that you're investing into yourself and your commitment. Hunger is the key to getting to where you want to go, and you've proven yourself to be very hungry. So I want to applaud you for being connected, paving the way. It's hard work changing and growing. It doesn't come overnight. It's work, and you have to say me first. God changing me, creating me a pure heart. And it's not an easy thing to do, but I want to just say well done. I'm really proud of you, because a lot of times we tend to sign up for things and we don't finish, or we don't do them and we're not committed. But you're here and you've been faithful and you've been committed, so well done.